love my mom, and I love my brother, and I can't leave my sister, and my nieces and nephews, I can't move away from them because I have to watch my nieces and nephews grow up. 10 things I miss about the US. What up, YouTube? It's your boy Jermaine back on another video. If y'all are new to my channel, you should hit that subscribe button up here or down there, or you know where the subscribe button is. Anyway, hit it. So me, y'all know me, I like to travel. I'm a backpacker and I really love to leave the US, but there are a lot of things that I really miss about the US, and I thought I would make a video just sitting down talking about these. These are going to be 10 things. They're not in any order at all, but the first thing I miss about the US is food. Okay, so why would I say food? Maybe I should throw it out there that I'm vegan, I don't eat the animals, but in this example, I'm not really going to speak on veganism, I'm just going to speak in food in general. So one thing I do miss about the food, in the US, there are so many food options, just like there are in most other countries around the world. But for certain foods, there's like an American twist to it. For example, a lot of Mexican food, there's like this sort of American twist to it. And trying Mexican food in other regions of the world is not like Mexican food, because I definitely know what real Mexican food is like. And it's not like American Mexican food. It's almost like, maybe it's like a mix or a twist from that particular country. But like different foods just taste very, very different in different parts of the world. Now, a lot of people have told me in a lot of my videos that my skin looks different when I'm outside the US. And the only thing I could think of why that would be is maybe I'm spending more time like out in direct sun, and that has nothing to do with food. But on the flip side, a lot of the food outside the US can be a whole lot better, especially if you eat like stuff like meat and chicken and stuff like that. It can actually be a lot fresher outside the US. And produce can be, you know, a lot fresher outside the US. Now, me, I live in California, and a lot of produce are grown in California, so finding fresh food in California is not that big of a deal. But if you live in a place in the US where, like, you know, it has to be shipped in on a truck, or you're ordering certain things that don't grow in that region, yeah, you may notice that food can be very, very different. Now, here in Eastern Europe, as of the making of this video, I am in the country of Macedonia, or North Macedonia, because they just recently changed their name. One thing I noticed is you don't see things out of season being sold here. So about 2 months ago, I was in South Africa, and everywhere you went, they were selling corn. Like every grocery store, they had corn. It was people selling roasted corn on the street. Like corn was in season, obviously. And, you know, I get to this part of the world and I'm thinking, oh yeah, let's get some corn, but there's no corn in season. In the US, when there is no corn in season, guess what? They're still selling corn, it's just coming from somewhere else. But in a lot of other countries, if it's out of season, you can't even get that item. Like you just can't get it at all. Like I haven't seen any watermelons around here in Eastern Europe, but in South Africa, yo, I saw some watermelons, and watermelon was really good. I was eating quite a bit of watermelon. Yeah. Food, yo, it's slightly different. I would say a lot of things are a lot fresher. And I definitely don't miss American prices on food, because in certain parts of the US, they be charging way too much for food. So let's go on to the thing I miss about the US number 2. So thing I miss about the US number 2 is Sunday. Now this is just a random thing I'm throwing out there, but what's the big deal about Sunday? Well, typically when I'm back in the US on Sunday, Sunday is the day that I am not bored. Sunday is the most amazing day, because back in San Francisco, if I take off on a Sunday, I'm probably going to go skateboarding with other people who have Sunday off. Or if I decide to work on Sunday, Sunday is a very, very busy day to work, and I am never bored, never lonely. I'm always running around doing stuff on Sundays. So I kind of miss Sundays. Now, before I moved to San Francisco, I was living in Santa Barbara, and Sunday was like a chill day. Like I would usually work up until, you know, the afternoon, maybe 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and then I would have pretty much the rest of the day off. And I loved Sunday, because Sunday was just a day that I would like go down to the beach and that sort of thing. But I guess now, since I live in SF, I don't really go down to the beach like ever. Like there is a beach in San Francisco if like you don't know the geography in the US, but like I'm never going to a beach in San Francisco, yo. Like, anyway, let's go on to thing number 2 that I miss about the US.
This is actually number 3, or number 3.
The American dream, okay? The American dream. Now, when I'm back in the US, I constantly constantly meet people that say, this is the worst country in the world. That the U.S. is the worst country. The police kill people. This is the worst country. I can't do this, and this and that and that and this, and America is the worst country in the world. And guys, like being out of the U.S. for like straight 3 months on this trip, and majority of last year, and I've done a lot of traveling. Anyway, you guys get where I'm going here. The U.S. is not the worst country in the world. Like, if you actually feel that way, like if you feel that bad about the U.S., I really want you to leave, just leave and just don't come back. Like, basically, don't come back. And when you're in the airport, tell them that you don't want to be a citizen anymore. If you want to give up your American citizenship, you actually have to pay, I think it's like $400 or $450. And they just implemented that fee like a couple years ago. So if you don't like the U.S., please just peace out, leave. Because in the U.S., there are so many opportunities. Right now, I'm in Eastern Europe, and one thing I notice is you just don't see as many entrepreneurs, okay? In the U.S., people be hustling, yo. People may have 3-4 businesses and still have a job. And, there's so much opportunity. People just don't understand the opportunity. A lot of people that live in the U.S. just don't understand the opportunities that we have in the U.S. So pretty much for the past month, I've been traveling through Eastern Europe, and the stories that I hear people talk about, about work, people just don't have jobs. That's just bottom line. People just don't have jobs. I was in Moldova, and I was talking to some kids, and one of the kids was saying that the average person in the country of Moldova makes about $166 a month. And people in the U.S. complain oh, I can't get ahead, I can't do this, I can't do that. You have no idea how easy you have it. You have no idea. You can grow up in the U.S. and become president. You can grow up poor and become a CEO of some Fortune 500 company. You have so many opportunities. You can go to college for free in the U.S. if you want to. Most people don't go to college for free. I mean, come on, if you get sick with some crazy disease, you have a very, very high chance of living in the U.S. versus if you are born in an African country or an Asian country. You just don't have the same resources. Gosh, there are so many stories of people being saved because of, all these organizations donate money to them. In third world countries, people just don't have this opportunity. So you know what happens if you get really, really sick? That's probably it. You probably die. And on the flip side, I've definitely heard of a lot of stories of people living in the U.S. getting into a lot of debt because of medical reasons. But still, the American dream is still alive. But anyway, let's move on to number 4. Stupid things that we only do in the U.S. Now, what am I talking about? Stupid things that we only do in the U.S. One thing that I call very, very stupid that we only do in the U.S. is we use the Fahrenheit system. I don't even calculate the temperature in my head anymore. If someone tells me it's 35 degrees, I'm thinking, okay, it's pretty dang hot. If someone tells me it's 40 degrees, I'm thinking, okay, where is the closest airport so I can fly and go to another place? If someone tells me it's 30 degrees, I'm thinking, I wish it was a little bit cooler. If someone says it's, 15 degrees, I get really happy because that's jacket weather. That's San Francisco. That's around 60 degrees. It's pretty nice and pretty breezy. If they tell me it's 13 Celsius, I'm getting even happier. But if they tell me it's 0 Celsius, I'm thinking, okay, that's 32 degrees. That's freaking cold. 32 degrees in Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's pretty dang cold. Other weird things that we only do in the US, if you go to let's say a fast food restaurant, you can always refill your drink. Most places outside the US, there are no free refills. Okay, the one drink you get is the one drink that you're gonna get, right? Hospitality. Oh my gosh, you guys have no idea. When you go to a restaurant in the US, you have this person come up to you. They're called a server or a waitress or a hostess. You have someone to take your order, okay? You have someone to bring you your drinks, and then they bring you your ketchup. And then they come over, they bring you your food, and they ask you, would you like a refill? A refill. You get more drink for free. And then at the end, what do? You usually tip them. You give them maybe a 10% tip or a 20% tip. Most places, it doesn't work anything like that. A lot of restaurants I go to around the world, it's usually, I go sit down, I'll order the food. As soon as I order the food, they bring ketchup and condiments and napkins, and they place it on the table. And you just don't see them anymore until the food comes out. and they'll usually bring your drink when the food comes out. So you'll just be sitting there like, okay, yeah, okay, I'm waiting on my can of Coca-Cola. Yeah. I guess it's a good thing that they give you the drink when it comes out with your food, because if they gave me the drink first, I may actually drink the entire drink before the food comes out. So, I guess that works. But yeah, and then after that, you just pay the waitress or the waiter or the hostess or the person that's serving you the food. You just pay them, and you don't leave a tip, and yeah, that's it. Service is very, very different. I'm not saying that service is bad, but it's just very different. That there's not like this hyper person jumping up and down. You need this, you need that, you need this, you need that. It's very different when someone's working for a tip, and it's very different when someone's not working for a tip, if you get what I'm saying. So let's move on to number five. Okay, this is just me, okay? This is one of my own, I guess all of these is just me, all of these are personal for me. But I miss skateboarding, honestly. If you guys have just started to follow me, like, in the past 3 months, I haven't made any skateboard videos because all my skateboards are back in San Francisco. And I love to ride electric skateboards. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. It is super American, and I guess Casey Neistat really made it like a cool thing, because Casey Neistat is this YouTuber. He lives in New York, or he used to live in New York, and he would make these like skateboarding videos, and it would just be all this traffic and him on a skateboard with a camera, and it just looks so cool because he's getting through all this traffic like so fast. If you're on a bike, you can't even fit through some of these narrow ways that he was going. Like, it would be a bus, and he would just go squeeze right between the bus. Like, it would be impossible to get there on a bike. It would be impossible to get there on a motorcycle. It would totally be impossible to do it in a car because there's so much traffic. And that's one thing I kind of miss. I kind of miss riding my electric skateboard. It's so much fun. Like, it's so much fun, like, just in and out of traffic, like, just doing it, getting on one side of San Francisco to the other side in 15 minutes flat versus maybe 40 minutes in a car. And then on top of that, you gotta park the car once you get there, or you gotta pay an Uber. But with the electric skateboard, I'm not parking the car, and I'm not paying for an Uber. Let's move on to number 6. Individualism. Individualism. What do I mean by individualism? So on this trip, I have met and hung out with a lot of locals. And one thing I've noticed that really separates a lot of countries from other countries is some countries are very, very family oriented. Like, it's the culture. Now, I've discovered that some countries are just family oriented just because they don't have a lot of opportunities. If you live in a country where there's just not a lot of jobs, and you grow up, you're living with your parents, maybe your father has a job and maybe your mom doesn't. Once you graduate high school, you can go look for a job in your local community, or you can move away and find a job. And one thing I have discovered is a lot of people they're just very tight with their family, and if there's no jobs, like, so what? Like, they'll just figure out ways to make it work. You know, maybe they don't live a glamorous life, maybe they don't buy a new smartphone every year, but people figure out ways to make it work. Now, back in the US, individualism is very popular, and individualism is, you take someone like me, like, I grew up with my family, and I love my family, and I like my hometown. But when I grew up, I wanted to move to California. Like, it's something that I wanted to do, and it's something that I did. Right when I turned 19, I packed up my bags, I moved to California. And if I was a family-oriented type of person, if I was the type of guy that, I love my mom, and I love my brother, and I can't leave my sister, and my nieces and nephews, I can't move away from them because I have to watch my nieces and nephews grow up. If I was that type of person, I probably would have never moved to California. If I would have never moved to California, believe me, my life today would be very, very different. I know of other people in my hometown, they just had a different dream. I knew one guy growing up, he just really wanted to move to Los Angeles, and he wanted to take photos. He wanted to be a photographer. And that's exactly what he did. After high school, he ended up moving to LA and just worked himself up the ladder, you know, doing gigs here and doing gigs there. And this guy's definitely made a name for himself. And I have a lot of friends back home that never left, and they're very, very tight with their families, and they just live a different life. Individualism is just very, very powerful, because if you don't want to do what your parents are doing. If your father's a doctor and your grandpa's a doctor and your parents are pushing you to become a doctor, you could become a doctor, or you could just become whatever you want. And in a lot of other countries, a lot of people just don't have that freedom to grow up and be or do whatever they want. Maybe they live on a farm, and if they don't want to leave and go to the big city, well, they're just going to work on the farm, just like their father did, just like their grandfather did. So that's one thing I love about the U.S. is individualism. Okay, number seven, American culture. American culture. Now, a lot of people will say America doesn't have a culture, but America definitely has its own culture. American culture is, when I think of American culture, I think of things that I see in the U.S. that I don't see outside the U.S. For example, super centers, okay? You can go to a freaking Walmart in the U.S., you can buy eggs, you can buy tires for your car, and then you can buy a flat screen TV. And all of these things could be on the same receipt. Like, this is insane. Like, I would never shop at Walmart. Like, Walmart is just not my thing. But I think that's actually really good. Like, that's very beneficial. I mean, yeah, or is it? Or if it is beneficial, why don't everywhere has it like that? Other things that are just straight up American culture is like tailgating. Okay, now I'm not into sports at all. Someone asked me earlier today, do you know who Ivan Iverson is? And I had no idea who Ivan Iverson is. And he didn't even tell me who he was. I don't know if Mr. Iverson is a football player or a basketball player. I had no idea who Ivan Iverson is. So if you guys know who Ivan Iverson is, like, let me know. Put it in the comments down below. But I had no idea who he was. But back in the U.S., if you ask any normal American, if you ask anyone back in the U.S. with half of a brain, they can tell you who Ivan Iverson is. And on the weekends, when there's big games going on, people get so into it, yo. People get so into it. People buy new TVs and set up a huge TV in their house just to watch the game. Just because such and such is going to win. And then, you know, his best friend is saying, oh, my team's going to win. People cook a lot of food. People drink a lot. Like, it's just a big party, like, for sporting events. And when I think of American culture, I think of stuff like that, because definitely in other countries people get into sports. You know, when I was in Turkey, it was a huge football game going on. And what I mean by football, I'm talking about soccer in the US. And just walking out on the streets, like, everybody had jerseys on and everybody was just rooting for their team and everybody was just having a good time. But I want to say in the US, like, that happens like more. Like, it happens way more. It happens all the time. And it's just really nice to see people come together and see people very happy and see people at the park and see people just, I don't know, it's just a random fact I thought I would throw into this video. Like American culture, other things about American culture, fashion, yo. Fashion. Well, does America even have fashion? Well, one thing I will say about the fashion in the US, it's very diverse. Like, it is very, very diverse. I have been to some places in the world where I've been in an airport and I noticed that everybody is wearing black. Like, no one is wearing anything colorful. Everybody's just wearing black. And I've also been to places where everybody is wearing crazy colorful things. But in the US, it's like you can wear whatever you want. Like, I can show up in San Francisco wearing this right here and just feel like I'm fitting right in. And I can see someone else standing next to me wearing like the whole Muslim get down. And then I can see, you know, another dude off to the side, you know, he's got a yarmulke on, he's got, you know, his hair done, and, you know, he's got, you know, the religious clothing on. And then I could just see someone rocking like a football jersey. And then, you know, a chick with a really nice body, she's got some yoga clothes on, you know. And then, you know, you see a woman getting out of an Uber and she's got some heels on and a dress and her makeup's done and her hair's done. You know what I mean? It's just like, I like the random fashion. Now, don't get me wrong, people definitely dress up in other parts of the world. But I want to say, like, American fashion is just like, it's different. Like, when I was in Romania, I definitely saw a lot of shoes that I never saw in the US. And I was like, yo, these are really fresh. Like, I want to buy like 3 pairs of these. And then I'm thinking, yeah, but I have to travel for a couple more months, so I don't want to be traveling with all these freaking shoes. But, like, I don't know, American style, American fashion, it's got its own thing. And I think every single country in the world just has its own niche, its own thing when it comes to fashion. So let's go down to Let's go down to number 8. Efficiency in the workplace. So efficiency in the workplace. What am I talking about with this one? So one thing I've noticed in the US, I feel that things are very strict. You go to a restaurant, like things are very strict. You go to a workplace, things are very strict. In a lot of places I've noticed around the world, things are very relaxed. Okay, like things are very, very relaxed. I'll give you this example. When I flew into Ukraine, I'm looking out of the airplane window as the airplane is landing, and I see a dog on the runway. Like straight up, a dog on the runway. In the US, if a dog was standing on the runway, or if a dog was walking around on the runway, it would be a huge deal. They would probably close down the airport, like until they went out there and got the dog, and they, who knows, they'd probably shoot and kill the dog just because the dog's trespassing, you know? In Ukraine, it was just like, oh yeah, it's just a dog on the airport. We got plenty of dogs walking around this joint, you know? And yeah, that's pretty much what it was like when I was in Odessa. Like I saw plenty of dogs like walking around. Also in Moldova, I saw plenty of dogs walking around the city of Chestnut. But back in the US, a dog walking around like by himself on the street, like that would be a no-no. Like that would be a no-no. Like people would run away, like if it was just a random dog walking around. Here in this country, Macedonia, I see dogs walking around all the time. Actually, there's a dog at this place that I'm staying at right now. I actually thought that it was their dog, but it's not their dog. It's just like a random dog that walks around, but it's been coming around here for the past like 6 months. And this dog literally will leave the house and go walk to the park, and the park is about a mile and a half away. This dog will go walk to the park, go swimming, go hang out with other dogs along the way. This dog knows how to cross the street by himself, knows how to do everything by himself. And it's just so amazing to see, like, yo, this dog is living a free life. This dog is not locked up in some, house while the owner is, at work for 12 hours. And then, the owner comes home and just takes the dog around the block for a quick walk. Man, this dog walks everywhere. This dog does whatever it wants, whenever it wants. And that's an amazing thing. But back in the US, no. No, that would be someone's job to go out and stop that dog. Like things are very, very efficient in the US. Let's move down to number 9. American driving laws. I don't think a lot of people in the US understand the driving laws, okay? The US is very strict when it comes to driving. And I know a lot of people living in, maybe Los Angeles or maybe San Francisco, you would say, San Francisco has the worst drivers in the world. No, they don't. Let me tell you, they don't. Los Angeles? No, they don't. The problem with driving in Los Angeles and San Francisco, there's just a lot of people driving, bottom line. They're not bad drivers. It's just a lot of people driving. Oh my gosh. When I was in Ukraine, when I was in Odessa, I remember seeing about 8 car accidents in like 6 days. Like 8. Okay. In San Francisco, I hardly ever see a car accident, like ever. But in Odessa, like I was just blown away. Like, wow, like these people cannot drive. One reason why I haven't ridden a bike in any of these countries that I've been traveling on this trip, or rented an electric scooter, is because people drive like crap. Like I don't mean to say it in a bad way, but like people are they're just not, they just drive like all over the place. And back in San Francisco, like if someone's on a bike or if they're on a skateboard, I totally understand San Francisco has far stricter laws when it comes to like driving with pedestrians, and also drivers in San Francisco are more used to people on bikes, and they're more used to scooters and motorcycles and stuff like that. But around here, I see a lot of motorcycles, I see a lot of bikes, I see a lot of scooters, and I still see drivers that are they're just not the best drivers. Maybe people are a little bit more cautious in the US because the US is very sue crazy. Like if you hit me, I'm gonna sue you. And most places around the world, people don't sue for things like they do for in the US. I heard some statistic that like half of the lawsuits in the world happen in the US. I also miss driving. I kind of miss driving. When I was in South Africa, I was gonna rent a car to drive down to like Cape of Good Hope. Like I was gonna like rent a car, and I found some other people, and we're all gonna pitch in, and I was gonna do the driving. And then I thought, yo, I don't know if I can drive, because you know in the U.S. we drive on this side of the car, and your friend is sitting on this side of the car. But in South Africa, I would have to drive on this side of the car, and my friend would have to sit on this side of the car. And things are just a little bit different, like the turn signals, and you know, when you want to make a right turn, you gotta look differently, because in the US, I'm used to looking right, or right, left, right. But then in a country where they drive on the other side of the road, you have to like right. I guess that has nothing to do with American driving laws, but yeah, I kind of miss driving. So since we're talking about American driving laws, I can talk about how I miss driving, right? Yeah. Okay guys, so check this out. Somehow I got my numbers mixed up when I made this video. So like, looks like I went through the whole list of 10 things. So yeah, so I thought I would sit down, make a video talking about the 10 things that I, you know, miss about the US. I totally got this all out of whack, but you know what? I'm just still gonna upload this video like this. Yeah, 10 things that I miss about the US. If you guys want to see another video of things that I don't like about the US, or things that I don't miss about the US, let me know in the comments below. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out.